All right. I hope the video played without any lagging. Saurabh, was it any good?
Yeah, I guess it was pretty good.
Right. So, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. This is experience called I Am a Farmer in Wayanad, which we're going to talk about later in the webinar. I'm going to share my webinar now. Sorry, my PowerPoint now. There you go. I'm going to put it on full screen. And with the permission of the esteemed panelists present here, I'm going to turn off my video. I know it's a little weird that somebody is asking you questions and you can't see him, but I'm just turning off my video because internet is not really good here. Uh, it came back only at around 140, 145. So it's a little unstable. So just to save some bandwidth, I am turning off my video, but I will be audible. Don't worry. I'm stopping my video here, but everybody else will be visible. Yeah. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another webinar by the Destination Knowledge Center. My name is Kuntil Barua. Today is Monday, and in our itinerary of the week, we are showcasing a fascinating part of South India that is still off the tourist radar, North Kerala. And today we are definitely spending more than an hour doing that because we have such a diverse and knowledgeable panel. We also have a surprise activity planned towards the end of the webinar, but that would remain a surprise. You will come to know as the webinar unfolds. But first, let me share that one experience during my first visit to North Kerala, which was surreal to say the least, and so similar to what Mahatma Gandhi had said in the King's Lazy Hall in London. I'm going to read out this quote to you. Yeah, there is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I do not see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof because it is so unlike all that I can perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses. Uh, my experience, that experience of North Kerala. I was in a Tharabar, which is an ancestral home, in a village where a Thayyam was happening. We will talk about this fascinating living tradition of North Kerala in detail later. I was staying at Ayesha Manzil, of course. I still remember the name of the host, uh, Vijayan, a polite, soft-speaking Nair gentleman who made sure that I never ran out of tender coconut water that March evening. When I reached the location, the Thayyam had not yet started and I had ample time in hand to observe and soak things. People were arriving, people were busy with the preparations, people were busy in the kitchen preparing food for dinner. The makeshift green room where faces of the troop members were getting painted, the rehearsals of the chenda, which is a traditional drama of Kerala, the family shrine getting decorated. This is what clients should do to arrive a little early. Dinner followed, a simple Kerala meal, rice, sambar, and pickle. And then the Thayam started with the Thayambaka, which is a solo chenda player, a solo chenda performance where player rhythmically improvises accompanied by at least a half a dozen of other chenda players. One of the Thayams, you can see him in his picture. He had invited the ancestors of Vijayan to possess his body and communicate with the family, and he was going berserk. He was laughing, crying, hugging the family members inside the house. On his way out, he caught my hand and he pulled me and he took me to the family shrine. He gave me the offerings. It was fried chicken and toddy, I remember. Made a signal that I must have it. And he kept on muttering something. His eyes were rolled back. I asked Vijayan, the host, what he was saying. Vijayan said, he's saying that you are going to have a baby boy. I was shocked. because my wife was 5 months pregnant. How did the Theam know? I haven't told anybody. I haven't told anybody. I haven't told Robin. I haven't told the driver. I haven't told anybody. But the Theam said, "You're going to have a baby boy." This was March. And indeed, I had a baby boy in July. So that was my introduction to North Kerala. And I can't forget that experience. And to tell us more about North Kerala, we have a very knowledgeable panel today. We have Dr. Sri Kumar from Harivihar Homestead, Calicut. Um, we have Praveen Maranatmana from Maranatmana Homestay, Nilambur. We have Ravi Verma from the Nilambur Kovilokam. We have Aditi Sethi, who represents Chapri Hotels and Resorts, who owns the Lotus Houseboat and the Nileshwar Hermitage that we're going to talk about. We have Victor Day and Musa, the pioneers of inbound tourism in Wayanad and Tellicherry, respectively. And last but not the least, we have Robin Raj, who heads our Kerala operations. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you all for your time and support in this effort to showcase Kerala, North Kerala. And please note the highlights uh, of this North Kerala itinerary, which we will be circulating later this week to all. Uh, that's a map of North Kerala for you, and the highlights of the itinerary are nature, living tradition, lifestyle, sustainability, local art and craft, houseboat, and of course the beach. Everything is available right now. All the interesting stuff. I'm going to jump into straight into the itinerary now. Uh, that's day one for you. Calicut or Kozhikode. I'm going to say Calicut and Kozhikode, so please kind of pardon me. Um, I'm going to kind of say Calicut and Kozhikode whenever. Uh, I'm going to jump straight in the itinerary now. Calicut or Kozhikode is where Vasco da Gama landed 522 years ago. He was the first to link Europe and Asia by an ocean route connecting the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans, and therefore the West and the Orient. And the rest, as they say, is history. I'm going to come to Dr. Sri Kumar. Dr. Sri Kumar, good to see you after so many years.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Tell us a little bit about Calicut in brief. Calicut through the eyes of Dr. Sri Kumar. Over to you.
Well, a warm good afternoon to all of you. Calicut is one of the oldest cities in Kerala. It was ruled by the Zamorin, who was a very affluent and wealthy trade ruler who ruled the old Malabar part. Actually, Calicut is the gateway to the Malabar province. Calicut is a very, very cultural, active place. The most important attraction of Calicut is its people. The people are so warm, friendly, and honest. Calicut has a history which goes back to several hundreds of years. We had the Chinese who came for trade in the 3rd, 4th century onwards, then the Arabs who came for the trade through the sea route, then the Portuguese, the British, we have Jains, we have Parsis, we have the Gujarati, the Gujarati community. So Calicut is a melting pot of several cultures over the years. We have an international airport at Karipur, and Calicut is famous for several things, of which the first thing which comes to my mind is the Bepur, where they make the wooden ships. Bepur is a 1,400-year-old tradition of though is a wooden ship which sails on the seas. And this is made by master craftsmen who have no formal knowledge, who have no formal education, but they are trained through successive generations in wooden shipbuilding. It's a must-see destination in Calicut, highly recommended. Then Calicut is also famous for its tile factories. The Contrast Tile Factory is around 170, 200-year-old old tile factory. which was made by the Basel Mission and then subsequently taken over by the British Commonwealth Trust. And it's a living museum. If you go inside the Commonwealth Trust Tile Factory in Pudiyara, it's a living museum where you see very, very ancient, age-old practices of tile factory, of this tile making, even now. Calicut is also famous for the various collieries. We have even 3 collieries in our neighborhood. And the collieries are also a must visit place, especially if you are interested in seeing the martial arts and the traditional martial arts. Then we have several mosques, several temples, and several churches in our city. We have the spice market, which is one of the oldest spice markets in the state. We have also several small temples which perform the Theyyam and the Thera. The Theyyam of the Talsheri side, when you come to Calicut, we call it as Thera. Slightly different, but very, very culturally distinct, so as to say. So this is I also forgot about the Calicut cuisine. The cuisine of Calicut as well as Talsheri, we have that very, very distinctive Mopla cuisine bought by that Malabar Muslims are called Moplas. So they bought a very, very special kind of cuisine, which is the hallmark of Calicut and also Talsheri and places like that. So then this is my small brief on Calicut. I'll be happy to take your questions.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Sri Kumar. And here's something that I want to share with the audience about Calicut, which is lesser known. Did you know that a journey to Calicut led to another great discovery, that of Brazil? Yes, an expedition was on the way to Calicut, and they missed and they had a wrong turn, and they went all the way to Brazil. What happened was that before the expedition got into the Indian Ocean, a wrong turn en route to India led the Portuguese fleet under the leadership of Captain Pedro Alvarez Cabral to discover Brazil. But that's a story for another day. And also, Dr. Sri Kumar talked about the Uru and the Dao making in Bepur. Yeah, here is something interesting again, a couple of points here, which I would like to share with the audience as well as the panelists. Did you know that the flagship of the British Admiral Lord Nelson, who defeated Napoleon Bonaparte in the Battle of Trafalgar in the year 1805, was made in Bepur? And many other numerous vessels in his celebrated fleet. Also, the sturdy wooden barges that sailed across the Suez Canal during the reign of Cleopatra are also said to be made at Bepur. Bepur beach is a combination of a sea beach and the signature backwaters of Kerala. The promenade is nearly 2 kilometers long that stretches out into the Arabian Sea and makes for a wonderful stroll during sunset. After my visit to Haribihar and my stay there at Calicut, I kind of wrote a couple of articles for our newspaper, for our newsletter, and these are some of the articles which I pasted. It's a blast from the past, you can say. But yeah, is Dr. Sri Kumar, is Krishna Veni still there?
No, we have another chef. Krishnavedi's mother was not well, so she had to leave.
Right. So she talked about, she did a little demonstration about a drumstick leaf soup when I was there. It was delicious. Okay.
The soup is still there.
Yeah. Okay. Day two. Robin, can you tell us a little bit more about the Calicut Heritage Trail?
Yeah.
In brief.
Quickly, I will brief you, Gundul. Thank you, and very good afternoon to all of you. Of course, this trail, when we stay in Haribihar, this is very close by. I would say, Srimarji, it is only 2-3 kilometers from your place to Valiyangadi, correct?
4 kilometers, 5
Yeah,
kilometers.
4 kilometers to Valiyangadi. So this is actually the first part of the trail is we take them to the iconic Calicut beach. From there, the experienced storyteller will take them towards these narrow streets, especially the Valiyangadi. That is one of the beautiful street area. So the important point is that the history of the trading in Calicut is the main highlight of this trade. We will be meeting people from the Gujarati community, and we will be walking towards the street. We talk to a rice merchant and hear his story. Then there is a special area separately for the Gani sacks. That's again called the Gani sack street. So it's very beautiful to understand the real tradition of the history of Calicut. So that's what, and finally, there is a biryani from the Bombay Hotel. Srivarji, if I am right, it is established in almost 90 years back, correct? Or
Yeah.
1890? Yeah. So a hotel, Bombay Hotel, it is a very nostalgic feeling for every Calicut people. And interestingly, our organizer can take the clients to the kitchen part of it. Still, they use the firewood, and it's a fantastic scene, and it's very delicious biryani, I would say. So that's what in nutshell about the Calicut Heritage Walk.
Right. Thank you, Robin. I'll like to come back to Dr. Srikumar now. Dr. Srikumar, you are a practitioner of Western medicine. I have a couple of questions for you. How did you develop this passion for Ayurveda?
See, well, in Kerala, all of us have been brought up in a soft Ayurveda way. When I was a child, my grandmother used to rub oil on my face, hair, and then put the Rasnadi pudi. So we have an Ayurveda way of bringing, especially in the past. I don't think about that it exists now. So when I try to restore Harivihar, I wanted to showcase it as a house which showcases the best things of what India had to give to the mankind. And the most important contribution of India to mankind was probably Ayurveda as well as yoga. So I wanted to showcase that. That made no difference whether I was a modern medicine practitioner or some other kind of practitioner. But the reason was that I believe in the healing power of Ayurveda. Not in all cases, maybe. I mean, maybe Ayurveda is not for all the people. At least for some people, it heals. Its philosophy is something which has attracted me.
Right. Another question for you, Dr. Srikumar. Do you agree in this scenario of the COVID pandemic in particular that the harmonious blend of Ayurveda, yoga, and Western medicine is the way forward in healing people?
Yes, of course. See, we have got an integrated Ayurveda treatment center here, where we take care of certain cases who have certain problems like peripheral neuropathy, some kind of headaches, stress, insomnia. And there we have a blend of both Ayurveda, yoga, meditation. We don't do Western medicine practice here at Harivihar, but I am usually an observer who gives my sort of advice to my Ayurveda counterparts, which will help in their treatments. We don't do Western medicine treatment here at Harivihar. In fact, I work in my own center where I am practicing as a child neurologist.
Right.
But we have an integrated system here wherein I observe and give my clinical inputs so that my Ayurveda counterparts and my yoga person can use that knowledge to their best advantage.
Right. So because I asked you this question, the harmonious blend of Ayurveda, yoga, and Western medicine as the way forward of curing people, because there is a gentleman I know from Assam who has kept his wife alive with cancer for the past 30 years by this harmonious blend. Doctor gave her 6 months and she's now alive for 30 years, living with cancer. Harmonious blend of Ayurveda, Western medicine, and yoga. Well, we will talk about it. This is a very interesting topic. We will surely talk about it later in another webinar. Coming back to you, Dr. Sri Kumar, I saw something interesting in the Harivihar website where you're talking about this morning walk that you do, and clients can also accompany you. Tell us more about this morning walk. If our clients accompany you, what will they get to see early in the morning?
Well, we start around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And we actually, this property called Harivihar is located in a very quiet part of the city. We have a temple close by. So we walk alongside the temple. There's a huge temple pond on the side. So we walk alongside the temple, and after the temple, we pass through the Kalari, which is a martial arts school. So we can just pop in and then maybe see, because usually the Kalari session is in the early morning. So we could just watch the Kalari session for more than maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then walk from there straight. I go to the East Hill Road, and I just follow the road, and we walk to the Parshiraja Museum site. The museum won't be open at that time, but it's a nice place to walk around. And then we just come back. We have another trail where we go in the car and we stop the car at the Sopana Nagiri, which is a small secluded mangrove forest area. And we have a nice 4 or 5 kilometer stretch of the mangroves and the backwaters. And it's a very nice place to walk around for a morning. So we've got 2 trails basically.
Right, and you are happy to take clients along with you during a morning
why
walk.
not? Why not?
Yeah, right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sri Kumar. Now, I would like to come to Praveen at Marana. Praveen, good to see you after so many years.
Namaste. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Yeah, so good to see you after so many years. Tell us more about Maranat Mana and what clients are going to see when you take them on a tour of this imposing 170-year-old structure. I still remember those beautiful mirrors with ivory tusks.
I mean, that's kept in a, that's not for public use. I had showed to you, because you were a VIP then. Anyway, well, the brief you have given, I think it says most of it. And the photo which you're seeing on the screen is the Patayapura where the guests stay. The main building, where the Padinaragata is about 6 feet from the structure. And the property, when the guests come, usually it's around noon. So after lunch, they take, after 1 or 2 hour rest, I take them around the property. I show them the pond and the structure. I believe it's one of the, maybe there might be 1 or 2 left in Kerala, Padanaragata structures. So I tell them about the architectural style, the Vastu, and other things. And on the way, there are a lot of stories which were told to us by our grandmothers about the history of things. We have recorded history up to 8 generations before me. So there are a lot of stories. Most of the time, it's chit-chatting with the guests. I don't have a fixed itinerary as such, but the places I take them to, I can safely say that we produce about 80% of what we consume, from oil to rice to vegetables and everything. So we have our rice fields, we have the spice plantations and the rubber plantations. So once the guests are here, I am with them throughout. I mean, I keep it as informal as possible. I go about my daily activities and I ask them to join us. We run we have a trust which we run a school. It's a primary school. We have over 1,400 students there. So if the guests are interested, we have an interaction session with the students over there. And there is a snake grove which is spread over about 2.5 acres of land. So I take them there and I I give them a glimpse of our customs and traditions. We are still following most of the traditions which were handed down to us. So
I still remember the pond at Maranat Mana, probably the most peaceful place for me during the trip. Praveen, are you still using gobar gas for fuel?
yeah, it's still going strong. I mean, every day we are dependent on that. We still have about 10, 15 cows here.
Right. So that was like I probably saw a gobar gas plant for the first time in my life when you showed it to me. Um, One of the things that I saw during the tour of Maranat Mana, uh, Maranat Mana had miniatures of the Sarpakavu in one of the courtyards, if I'm not wrong. And Sarpakavus, for our audience which may not be familiar, are a fascinating combination of faith and biodiversity conservation that has existed in Kerala from time immemorial. They are wilderness gardens where the flora and fauna is left undisturbed, which is very similar to the sacred groves of the Khasi tribals of Northeast India. Um, Praveen, tell us more about the Sarpakavus and how they are sacred to the Nambutri Brahmins.
I mean, once upon a time, every house did have this. We have a story behind it about Parashuram's history behind it. I think every Malayali knows about it. But the miniature representation of the snake grove, which we have in one of the courtyards, we call it a Chitroda Kalla. It's just a symbolic representation of the snake goddess. But in our snake grove, it's a bit unique because we have a temple and a snake goddess deity, which is pretty rare. And there, the rituals, maybe it's because we are a Tantri family here, we have rituals like any other temple in Kerala, which is itself a bit unique because most of the Sarpa cows don't have temple rituals in the Kaava. And we enter there only once in a month on every Ailyam. We say it's a Malayalam star. Every Ailyam we enter there only on that day, and we worship the goddess. And once in a year, it's open to the public.
Right. Praveen, another thing you talked about the rituals and the customs. If you remember in the documentary, The Story of India by Michael Wood, he talks about a 12-day fire ritual performed by Nambutri Brahmins. For centuries, Michael Wood says, these incantations or mantras have been passed down from father to son, exact in every sound, sounds that are unknown to any language in the world, and that the closest they come to is that of a bird song. Tell us more about this closely guarded secret of the Nambutri Brahmins.
That's a big topic. You see, even the Nambutris in Kerala, it depends on which Veda you're following. Like our family we follow the Yajur Veda. There are Rig Vedas, and I think you're talking about the Sama Veda. And the ritualistic fire itself, that depends on what their background was. Like we were Tantris, my ancestors were in charge. Can I say what can I say? Initiating temples for the kings or the noble families, or on our behalf in our areas. At present, our family are Tantris to about 37 temples in this area, in this Karikad Gramam, which used to be one of the 32 Gramams of old Kerala. So we were the only Tantris at that time in this village, in this Gramam, you can say. It's known as Karikad Gramam in olden times. And but the rituals are quite different. The one you are saying, we don't follow that. And there are families which won't let the fire die throughout their lives. But nowadays, I know of only one family in North Kerala who still do it.
And this is a really ancient practice, if I'm not wrong.
That's right. And Professor Fritz Stahl is the one, I think, who introduced it about Adiratram, through Adiratram to the Western world, about how scientifically these rituals are being done and all that. A
Right.
lot of write-up, and even on internet you find a lot of write-up on this of Adiratram. And
Right.
I think on the day you came here 8 years back, I had shown you about the Kalamvarcha Partak, the
Yeah, we're
big.
going to talk about it. We are definitely going to talk about it a little later about the Kalamvarchi Patta. We're going to talk about it. One of the many delightful conversations I had with you and your family over meals was the Nambutri Brahmins and Marxism. Um, we talked about the first chief minister of Kerala, who took his oath in 1957, the iconic Communist Party leader EMS Nambutri, a Nambutri Brahmin who had rejected his orthodox roots. It was the first time in India and perhaps in the entire world that a communist leader was democratically elected to power. Tell us more about the connection of the Nambutri Brahmins with communism.
Well, I'll give you my take. It
Yeah,
might
your
be
take, your
debatable.
take, your
It
take.
might be debatable, but I would say after independence or after the state of Kerala was formed, almost 90% of the Nambudris were communists. Now we are called feudal families or whatever you look at it. It was amazing how come all these Nambudris ended up having a socialist view. And my take on it is because of the customs which we had, because the one major custom which we had in the Nambudri community was that all the property went to the eldest son. And the second or third born sons never got anything. I mean, they would be educated. They were free to live in the guest house, not in the main house. And they had to marry from other communities. And so these educated, highly respected people in the society, and end of the day would go to the grave without their children even taking their names. And so they were the first ones who got introduced to English education. And I believe they were inspired by the philosophy of communism and the idea of equality. And that struck them. And at that time, our community itself was in dire need of a change. And I think the freedom struggle and the way the society moved on, people wanted change, and they took it forward. And it helped a lot to promote communism in Kerala in a faster way, more than, fighting it out like it happened in other parts of the world. And I think it was because a lot of people felt, that they were treated unfair, especially the women in our community. But
Right.
that shock was required, and we changed. We changed with time. We changed without regret. And I think that it was a good thing which happened.
Right. I still remember we had a long animated conversation on this. Just so you know, for the audience, Maranat Mana serves only vegetarian meals. They don't serve alcohol. It also has a live Ganesha temple that sees hundreds of devotees uh, every day.
And also, Kuntal, just want to add here, this is one of the biggest 16 quadrangle structure of Kerala, which is open to guests actually.
Yeah, that's where you can stay. Yeah, thank you, Robin, for adding. I would like to come to Ravi Verma now. Ravi, what is a Kovilakam? I mean, let's kind of introduce it to our audience who's not familiar with it.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
And also, please tell us more about the role of the Nilambur Kovilakam has played in shaping the history, culture, and economy of Nilambur, in brief.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. See, basically, Kovilagam means the places where the kings lived. Like Mana is the houses where the Nambutris lived, and Kovilagams were the place where the rulers of the area lived. So our place is around 300 years old. That building is around 300 years old. Again, it is a 12 courtyards. And we also serve only vegetarian food. But then we have a lot of place, Nilambur is known for its teak. The teak wood of Nilambur is world famous. So that's what we the highlight of the place. And this family of Nilambur Kovilagam came to Nilambur because they were under the Zamorin's. Actually, Zamorin's asked this family to rule, take care of Nilambur. That's how Nilambur Kovilagam people came to Nilambur. And we established, the Nilambur Kovilagam people established a township there. Like, we established the hospitals, we established the schools, we established the whatnot, the forest. It was just big forest, and we had to establish everything there. And we formed the culture of Elnad Taluk. The Taluk of Elnad is what is the place called. And the Taluk of Elnad was developed under the Nilambur Kovilagam people. And that's how now it's developed in that way. And we are, we are there from the last 400 years. And this house is 300 years. We have a temple which is called Vetekurimagan. Vetekurimagan is son of Shiva. It's probably it's more related to a tribal god.
Right. And you have an annual festival of the temple, right? Which month is
we
it?
have in January 4th to 9th every year. Normally it's 4th to 9th because the dates change probably 1 or 2 days this side, that's it. But normally it's always during the first week of January.
Right. Are foreigners allowed into these festivals? Can they see?
Yes, the Lord comes out during the festival, so people are allowed to see the Lord. And there's a Lord Chandamelam and the elephant, decorated elephant. And we also have a Kalamirtha party, but we don't allow the guests to go into the temple, but then we can do it in our house for the guests.
Right. Please make a note, January 4th to the 9th mostly. You can always confirm with Robin, and that will be something very interesting to see. Ravi, therefore, today you're going to pick up clients from Maranat Mana, and you'll be with them throughout the day. Tell us more about today's sightseeing, starting with the local train ride, the museum, the meal with your family at Nilambur Kovilikam, and finally the terracotta pottery experience.
Yeah. See, normally what the plan is like, we pick them up from Maranat Mana, bring them to Nilambur, depending on the timing. Before reaching Nilambur, we can also drop in at the Cornwallis plot, which is the world's oldest man-made teak plantation, which is maintained there. That's around 10 acres of land where, the old huge trees are there, huge trees. You cannot even say the size of the trees. But then there's a hanging bridge, which of course in the last floods, there's a problem, it's under maintenance. And you can spend an hour or so there. And then you can also go to which is closer from there. When you go after the Cornwallis plot, you can go to the pottery village where, you can visit the family making earthen pots. So they will show you how they make the pots and, different, even apart from pots, they do a lot of
Murals.
Yeah, murals.
Is it Dr. Jinan's village?
Yes, exactly, Dr. Jinan's.
Okay.
But I think Jinan has left the place. He doesn't stay there anymore. Jinan was a person who enlightened these people and brought them up from very bad situation.
Right. Let me add it here for the audience that Dr. Jinan is quite a character. He was quite a character when I met him. And this village where we would take our clients, they were making beautiful pottery, but then what happened is that commercially it was not viable. They gave up pottery. Then their women became prostitutes.
Exactly.
And their husbands became pimps. And Dr. Jinan comes in, reintroduces pottery, and then this village starts making pottery again, and they are back to their original tradition. So it's a very interesting story that clients get to experience here. What is the kind of meal do you serve at the Nilambur Kovilikam?
See, at Nilambur Kovilikam, after that we bring them to Nilambur Kovilikam. We serve them with a vegetarian meal. It's a normal meal which we all have in our house. Right. Simple, elegant vegetarian meal. And we take them, my father-in-law is there. He's an encyclopedia in the history of Nilambur. So he talks to the guests during the meal. He talks to them about the history of Nilambur family, Nilambur Kovilikam. And then he takes them around of the house. And then we take them to the teak museum.
Right. And what do you get to see in the teak museum?
Yeah, the teak museum is the only one of its kind in the world. Like, a museum dedicated for teak. various kinds of teak, the how the teak is grown, the history of teak in Nilambur, and the difference between Nilambur teak and the other teaks in the world. So that's like, and adjacent to the teak museum, you also have a biodiversity park, a butterfly park, where you see a lot of things, how a lot of plants which are grown, a lot of different kinds of plants that they explain to you very well.
Right, and this train journey is really interesting because it's a short train ride, and about 40-45 minutes, and it passes through so many small quaint little stations. So it's another very interesting local train ride. That's how you're going to start day 4. um, I'd like to come back to Praveen. Praveen, tell us more about Kalamvarchipat. For the audience, Kalamvarchipat involves an oracle creating different deities on the floor with dry colored powder, singing songs in their praise, and finally erasing the drawing through ritualistic dance steps. This is unique to North Kerala. I mean, almost it's like a mandala kind of mandala ceremony of the Tibetan Buddhists, where they make a mandala and finally demolish it after the ceremonies. Over to you, Praveen.
Yeah, it's a ritual conducted in temples and in olden times in manas and all that. Now, the most basic of it would be a swastik, which we do almost on a daily basis. A swastik is drawn with rice powder and turmeric powder on the floor, and we evoke the goddess onto the lamp, which is kept in front of the swastik, and we pray to her daily. And after that, we let the feminine energy go, and that's how it is. The Kalamarchupata is a much more elaborate. There are more intricate patterns, but the Kalamarchupata is much more elaborate, where we draw the goddess in a form in the form which we see her, and we use 5 colors, like we have yellow for turmeric, black charcoal powder, white rice powder, then lime is mixed with to get the green. The green is with the leaf powder, which is made just 2 days before the ritual. And the kurupa, who draws uh, the form, he takes about 2-3 hours to draw it. It's on a big canvas by 6 feet by 4 feet minimum. And then in the evening, once it's all decorated with palm leaves and all that, the priest comes, and then we evoke the goddess onto the lamps, and we believe she's there, and we pray to her. After the goddess, we let the feminine energy go. The same Kurupa who drew this, who took 3 or 4 hours to draw this, he himself rubs it off. And we have it in our home 3 times, in a year. And on each day, it's a different god or a goddess. We have Ayyappa, and which is Valluvanada is a local name. And we have a special column for that. And then one day it's this goddess which you see, Kali, which you see in the screen now. And it's unfortunately in Kerala, most of this happen inside temples, where tourists are not able to see. But here we do have a chance to show it to them. But the ritual, it starts around 3. I think for tourists, watching them draw this form will be the most magical thing. And it finishes by 7:38 in the evening. That's how it takes. There are some temples where they have this every day, 365 days in a year.
Right. Praveen, you're saying that you have this Kalamvarchipat in Mananatmana 3 times in a year. Are foreigners allowed to see this in your mana?
They are, but the calendar, last time when you came, what I do for guests is, if they are interested, I get the artist to draw the canvas, to draw the goddess or whatever pattern it is, or the god, on a floor without the ritual.
Right.
So if they have to see the whole ritual, it will be only on those days which we have it. But otherwise, if they are interested, I have done it for 2 or 3 guests, where they wanted to see it, and I invited the artists and they drew it for them. But it was just they were introduced to the colors and how it's done, how the forms are made, but without the ritual, without the ritual part in it.
So the ritual part is not possible every time. It is
No,
only
it's not
during,
possible.
right. So the ritual part is only possible during when it's happening,
That's right. That's right.
right? But still guests can see Karup making this wonderful designs on the floor of the different deities.
That's right. That itself is worth watching. I mean, it'll take 2-3 hours to finish the
Yeah,
whole canvas.
right. Fascinating. It's so similar to the mandala ritual of the Tibetan Buddhism. Uh, After my visit to Maranat Mana, I had written a couple of articles for our newspaper, oh sorry, newsletter, and this is what it is. I've pasted them here for you. Day 5, Nilambur to Wayanad. Victor, welcome to the second webinar with us. Victor, are you there?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Welcome to the second webinar with us.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. Why not through the eyes of Victor Day? Tell us more.
I beg your pardon?
Why not through the eyes of
Why not through the eyes of Victor Day? Well,
Yeah.
but let me put it like this. I was born and brought up in Calcutta, in West Bengal, spent a lot of time in the north of India. And for the last 50 odd years, I've been here in the south. But I have fallen in love with Kerala. I consider it my adopted home state, and in Wayanad in particular. And that is why we decided to settle down here. It has a little bit of everything as far as nature goes. It is very conveniently located. You're 2.5 hours away from all the major international airports. And as I say, there's a lot to be seen. There's a lot to do over here.
Right. Victor, another question to you is you have been a planter yourself, starting in the 1960s. While it does look glamorous, I do realize, coming from Assam with all the tea state, that the life of a planter is definitely not for the faint-hearted, given the daily challenges. Yes, the sprawling bungalow with all the help, the Gymkhana club, the round of ball for tennis as a reward, but it is an all-weather, round-the-year, highly demanding job, and more often than not in the remotest of locations. Tell us about the day in the life of a planter in the hills, Victor.
Well, it would vary. It would depend on what stage of seniority you're in. When we first started, we had to be out there in the field by 7:30 in the morning, rain, hail, or sun. We'd have to supervise. It was basically a supervision in those days, and you were learning the trade. You would have come back for your meal at around 12:30. Then again, 1:30 out, you're back in the field. And that goes on till about 4:30 or so, by which time the workers come down to work is over. They come down to the muster. You have to record the attendance, total their wages, etc., etc., and then trudge and walk home. And very often when you first start, you're not given any mode of transport. You have to walk, and they do it in such a way that your bungalow is miles from your division. It's basically a make or break situation.
Right.
They really throw you in at the deep end and expand how you manage or not. But then as you go up the ladder, it becomes more admin. But there is a lot of work because, it's not only the cultivation, there's the manufacture, especially on a tea estate. I've been in tea most of my life. Coffee, I've always said I won't say this, is a laid back effort compared to tea. But even then, there's a lot of work. And remember that you're dealing with large unionized labor forces. So you have your share of labor trouble. So you have to be as diplomatic as possible, because the idea is to get the work done. But then come evening, you're back there at the club on the tennis court. If there's a golf course available, even better. And it's life centered around the club in the old days. Unfortunately, not now. It's a happy mix of everything, if you ask me.
Right. Right. And Victor, in the last webinar with us, you had mentioned that since the local sites, which finds mention in every itinerary, are crowded, for guests staying at Amaryllis with you as your guests, you have your own nooks and crannies and places in Wayanad where you take clients, and they really enjoy. Can you tell us more about this special nooks and crannies and places in Wayanad where you take clients and where they enjoy?
Well, depending on the interest of the client,
Right.
those who are interested in visiting a tea factory and seeing tea manufacture, cardamom drying, I take them across to a friend's estate. It's about a half-hour drive from here, and it's very interesting. Most of the people have been very appreciative of that, and come back, have lunch, and there are one or two spots. Our bungalow is on the backwaters of the Karapura, facing the Karapura reservoir. There are one or two beautiful spots down there where we take tea down there, depending on how many guests we have. If there's a large number, we're not unable to do that. But when you have 3 or 4 guests, we take tea down there. Then there are a couple of hilltops over here where I take guests up to. But as I say, we try and keep them away from the normal, well-traveled tourist spots because they're always overcrowded. But having said that, Edical Caves is very interesting.
Right.
We always promote that. Pardon? Yeah, then of course there's a prehistoric place which everybody knows about.
Right. Thank you so much, Victor. Robin, I'm coming to you. We saw this I'm a farmer experience. We saw the video. Now a couple of quick questions on logistics. How long does it take from Amaryllis homestay? Robin, you are on mute.
It's almost an hour drive from this area to this Cheruvayal, which is 45 kilometers away from this area. It is in Manandavadi, near a place called Manandavadi.
Right, yeah. And to the audience, please remember that Wayanad is a destination, but please remember Wayanad is a district. It is not a Cochin or someplace else. It's a district. So anywhere you travel is minimum 1 hour. So it's about 45 minutes, you say, from Amaryllis?
Yeah. 45 kilometers I'm saying, but it will take about more than an hour to reach there in Cheruvayal actually, from this Amaryllis.
Mm. And what is the duration of the experience?
We would close it by 3 to 5 hours. We can take 5 hours.
Going and coming?
Yeah, including going and coming, yeah.
Right, and what is the best time to go meet him? Morning or afternoon?
Yeah, I would appreciate it's a morning program with a light lunch serving in this area.
Right, and most important, how is this gentleman who's so humble and he's so focused benefiting from the visits made by our clients? Do we give him some money? What happens there?
Okay, I will just give a quick brief about the program actually in total. See, we go to this village called Cheruvayal, and this gentleman we saw the video is Cheruvayal Raman. So he is basically a farmer in that village. So this Cheruvayal is actually a very beautiful village, which is basically gifted with the hardworking farmers and skilled artisans. Right. So what you see there, basically the lush green paddy field. But what is the specialty? When you move into that walking way, you will be seeing small cow dung coated mud floor. You know the small houses with the cow dung coated mud floor.
Very clean.
Very, very clean, and that's what basically you're seeing while you walk. And I would say when we discuss with them, they are saying there is antibacterial. It will prevent us from any diseases. That's what they are saying actually. And the floor remains always warm, even in the winters.
It's true.
cold in summers.
It's
Unbelievable.
true because that's my grandmother's house is like that.
Yeah. So almost 100 plus 150-year-old houses are there. Even this Chirvel Raman is staying in such a very old house actually. So coming back to the point, the core point is that while we interact with him, we are getting introduced to different varieties of the paddy.
The
That's the beauty
seeds.
of this, the paddy seeds. He says 52 varieties of indigenous seeds. We are able to get introduced to that. And he's actually stocked this paddy. The stocking itself in a very small, a kind of a storehouse, which is, it's like a cowshed you will feel. But that's a storing area. And there he is actually storing that very indigenous paddy seeds, and that's what the discussion, the story going on, as you see in the video actually. And just for your information, this gentleman belongs to a tribal community called Kuruchia tribe actually, one of the prominent tribes in the Wayanad area actually. So the
and
whole
and
story is
and
there.
and very respected, Robin, because they fought with Palashi Raja, isn't it? They fought side by side with Palashi Raja. They say it like that. Is it true?
It's true.
Historically?
It is historically true. Yes, it is. It has evidences also, and in all the stories about Parsi Raja, this is a very important story. The link between the tribal community and the Parsi Raja.
Yeah, because in Rajasthan we have the Bhil tribes fighting with Maharana Pratap. So there's a comparison out there. Yeah, carry
Yeah.
on, Robin.
Yeah. So back to your question, what actually you call it as a sustainable product?
Yeah.
See, the basic point is that while we visit to this particular village and interact with the Chervail Raman, we actually appreciate and acknowledge their sustainable initiatives. What he said in the video, it's very important that we are actually preserving those very indigenous seeds, because today in the modern world everybody is actually using the hybrid seeds. Nobody knows about these old things actually. Even for your information, near my home in Cochin, we have a store where they sell a special rice called a Gantagashala. Most of the people from Kerala knows about that rice, Gantagashala. That is actually from this area, very indigenous to that area, but it's
Right.
very brownish, but very rich in all the contents actually. So what I'm saying is that as a part of the sustainability initiative, when you go to this particular village, you are actually acknowledging or appreciating all the efforts of these simple farmers. And furthermore, we enjoy a very simple food, mainly tapioca, which also you have seen in the video with rice porridge. We call in Malayalam called kanji. So that's what the essence of the whole program.
Right. Also, we talked about, Robin, we have been talking about the Minangadi village in Wayanad, which is working hard to be the first carbon neutral village in India. And we have planned a visit of our clients there. We had started research, and the lockdown happened, which is a shame. But what can you tell us about this village? Because a lot of we need to do some more research before we put this product out here.
Yeah, so it's a very, I would say, one of the proud project that we all have to take it forward actually. Mirangadi is actually a very small village, which is not very far, I think 10 kilometers from Amaryllis.
Yeah, very close by.
Yeah, very close by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mirangadi, the Grama Panchayat, the Panchayat. Of course, as everywhere in India, maybe the decentralizing power of the government is through the Panchayat or the municipality. So here it is a Panchayat. So actually what happens is in the year 2016, June 5, on the Environmental Day, they have decided that they will have a new project, which is called the Carbon Neutral Project. So it's actually a kind of a project started in the year 2016. Very committed, very innovative, a strategic project of a Panchayat. That's what the interesting thing is. It's not by a vendor of who's doing this experiential activity, or it's not from anybody who is into tourism. It is basically a local body, a Panchayat. This initiative has come to make their Panchayat as a carbon neutral. So what actually we are going to see there? See, from the 2016 onward, this project is going on. And interestingly, I would say one of the best example of the women empowerment. Why I am saying is that because this particular project is funded through Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme.
Manrega.
Yeah, in every Kerala village, even if you go to Kumaragam, if you go to Fort Cochin, if you go to Kumbalangi, you will be seeing ladies working on the side of the road, whether they're cleaning the road or they do some other small thing. It's all through this project action. Okay, this is a guarantee scheme. It's a national rural development guarantee, employment guarantee scheme. So, so this particular village, all these laborers, basically 300 laborers, the laborers they were engaging for this project. Out of this, 1% is the male members. Rest 99% of the laborers are the female laborers from the community itself. That's the beauty of this. So the first thing is that this is a perfect example of women empowerment through a Panchayat Raj. So while what we going to see there? Okay, as I mentioned, it is just about 10 kilometers from this Amaryllis. So we plan for a half-day program, probably about a 3 to 3.5 day program. So we come to this particular village, we take them to the main Panchayat office, we just have a chit chat with the Panchayat authorities, and then we take the clients to a couple of the initiatives. The first thing which is basically visible today, visible today is the restoration of a cow. Today you are familiar what is cow actually, as Praveen has already mentioned. As Kundal has already mentioned, Sarpa cow. But I'm just generally talking cow. So cow is basically a kind of a forest patch attached to many of the temples in Kerala. So here in this Mirangadi, one of the biggest cow was in a ruined stage. The locals were encroached there and it was absolutely ruined stage. So as a first part of the project, they have restored the entire 55 acres of the sacred grove back to the old shape. So they, with the participation of these women laborers, they have restored it. So today, if you go there, you are going to see this cow, this beautiful sacred grove, and also there are a couple of farming lands which is also restored completely. So in nutshell, I would say the initiative of the people we are going to see through this cow, the sacred grove, and some of the farming lands. That's what today you'll be seeing when you go to this particular area. But the story behind is so amazing, so mind-blowing stories, especially when it comes from a place like Wayanad, which is slightly backward. When you look at the whole Kerala community, Wayanad probably would be one of the district which is slightly on the backward area in terms of the development. So that's the beauty of the program. And we call this program called the Carbon Neutral Project in Meenangan.
And also, quite I would be when you tell me when you can, you just do some more research, because they also have zero waste program, which is again very interesting. We will talk more about it, probably showcase this entire village, maybe call a few people from the Gram Panchayat and have a different webinar altogether on this. Thank you, Robin, for unveiling the Midangari village and talking about it a little bit. Day 7, we reach from Wayanad to Thalassery. Thalassery is a coastal town of North Kerala nestled at the shore of the Arabian Sea. The Arab merchants came here looking for spices as early as 7th century when Prophet Muhammad was still alive. Intermarried with the locals that resulted in a vibrant culture. The Mopla Muslims. Today, the Malayalam speaking Muslims make up for the second largest community at 25% of the population. Musa, sir, coming to you. We talked about the Mopla cuisine and its foreign roots in detail in one of the webinars. Today, let's start by talking about the matriarchal system of the Mopla Muslims. Tell us more.
The matriarchal system.
Matriarchal system.
right?
Yeah.
That is like, what do I say about that? Uh, so, I mean, the importance is for your, when you talk about matriarchal, the uncle becomes the most important person in the family than your father. And the way you inherit properties also go like that. Otherwise, there is not much to say about the matriarchal, this thing, as far as I know.
Right.
All I know is the most important person in the family is mother's brother, more than the and the mother. I mean, of course, the mother is the power center of the family.
Right.
So naturally, her brother also becomes a man with a lot of power. So that way, your father has better power in his sister's house than in my mother's house. That is all I can say about this patriarchal.
Right.
Okay.
I was just kind of going through the internet, and I found the story of the Katil Vidu. It's a
Pardon?
Tharavar in Katil Vidu. It's a Tharavar in Kozhikode that holds the record of housing 100 family members under one
Ah,
roof.
yeah. I don't
And
know the name of the house.
I
House.
think
It is now Faisa got correct name. It is Katil Vittil.
Katil Vidu, yeah. Sorry
Katil
for,
Vittil.
yeah,
Yeah, Katil Vittil. Yeah. So
yeah,
there is about 150 people there.
yeah,
Even interconnection. Uh,
yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Pundit?
hear
Yeah.
you. Your
Suddenly there was.
internet is lagging a little, but yes.
So
Uh,
Katil Vittil is near a house in Calicut, and they
yeah,
have more than 150 people in that house even now. And I
right.
believe they need about 1 or 2 sacks of rice every day. Yeah,
So,
that is thinking. But everything is so peaceful and harmony. There has never been a war or a riot in that house so far, in
right,
spite of this 150 people living together.
right,
So that's yeah, that is a very interesting thing about that house. Yeah.
right,
Okay. Right.
right. And in your last webinar, you talked about how you were stuffed with all the delicious food cooked in your honor as the son-in-law.
Uh, yeah, about how
Yeah,
mother-in-law treats
yeah,
the son-in-law,
yeah, yeah.
and I am still a victim to that.
Right. This is something interesting I found.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about Opanna, which is a beautiful ritual exclusive to Mopla
Oh,
Muslims.
that is something which is during the marriage time, on the
Yeah,
eve of marriage, which
yeah,
you all call it mehendi and we call it mailanji. In
right,
our language, mehendi is called, the leaf is called mailanji. And
right,
so mehendi night, the bride is dressed up and there is a music going around her, girls singing, clapping their hands. That
right.
music is called opera. Opera.
Opanna,
Yeah, opera.
Opanna.
You have a
Okay.
stress on P, pa, opera.
Opanna. Okay,
Right.
right.
And there
And
are people, there are special groups known for performing this. So you can select whichever group you want and they'll come and perform and go. It'll be always small girls between the age of 15, 16, like that, and
right,
going around the bride and singing. And
right,
they also will be very well dressed with a lot of makeups and so on.
right.
Yes. Okay.
And you know what I also found that the songs that accompany the dance are
Uh,
both emotional and teasing in
Yes,
nature.
yeah. It is, yeah, both. It is, there is a lot of romance as well as teasing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, I found a song on the internet,
Uh,
opened a song,
yeah.
and the English translation goes something like this:
Uh,
uh, "Flowers are blooming, smiling in delight.
uh,
The full moon is shining like a radiant bride.
uh,
The beautiful dreams of the bride will be fulfilled today. The
uh,
bride is the queen of the gathering tonight." So this
yes.
is what I found.
Like that, so many songs somewhat similar to that. That is why there will be a lot of romance in it. There is a lot of teasing in it. So there are all the songs are like that only. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
What is the wedding season of the Mopla Muslims?
Thing season as it is, there is nothing like that. But now everything depends upon the Gulf because half of our population is in the Gulf.
Right.
So June, July is the time the half of the people who are in the Gulf comes home because it's vacation for the children. So June, July, anyone hardly we have our lunch at home. It'll be every day it's wedding. This,
Right.
yeah, but this year everything is gone. You know, my friend Kundil, sometimes a day you might have even wedding invitation even for 10 to 12 weddings. So what you
Wow.
do is right from morning you start just paying a call, just a visit, maybe having a sip of tea or a cold drink. And finally you decide where you are finally stopping. And that will be to in a family with whom you are very closely attached, or they may be your close friend, or maybe your close friend's daughter's or son's wedding. That is where you end up. Then you spend the rest of the day with them and have food and like that. So that is the system.
Right.
But in olden days also this usually happens during what we call summer vacation. That is March, April. I mean April, May when the children's schools are closed. So it's very convenient for the parents to conduct the weddings so that the children also can be part of the wedding. So now that vacation thing has been extended to July, August because our half of our children are in the Gulf.
Right. So,
Yeah.
will it
Yeah.
be possible for a guest to staying at Aisha Manjil to attend a Mopla wedding?
Oh,
Uh,
how many weddings they have attended? We every year, many people, especially there are certain weddings which we have to go. Then we tell them when you are most welcome. You can accompany us. For example, my cousin's daughter is getting married. Means it's like my house, so we take them with us, and we normally try to take them for the mehendi. That is the eve of the marriage,
right.
and which normally happens in the girl's house. So if there is a girl's wedding in the family, close family, we take them for the mehendi night where there is lot of celebrations, lot of singing and this opera and late night, and hardly any men are seen around. It is basically a women event. So that, of course, we do take them whenever there is a wedding, and most of them come, and sometimes they come because this is always late in the evening, and by the time they would have finished their dinner, so maybe they are served with some small snack for the namesake to be a part of the hospitality. That,
Right.
that's happening all the time. It is,
Right.
I think one has to specially mention, please take this family for a wedding. Mm, so this is part of their stay if there is
Right.
wedding happening in the close family. Okay, right.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds so interesting. There is so much to talk about of Mopla as a unique Indo-Islamic synthesis within the large spectrum of Kerala culture, literature, art, food, language, music. Probably we will need a whole webinar for that. Uh,
That's, oh, that's
yeah,
it.
but sir, let's talk about the mosques of the mosque of the Mopla Muslims. The mosques of the Mopla Muslims are a great ode to pluralism, and unlike any other mosque that we see elsewhere in India. Uh,
Hmm.
Tell us more.
About the mosque.
Yeah, how is it different from the rest of the mosques that we see elsewhere in India?
Yeah, I know, not mosque in general. When you talk about mosque, it is the dome and the minarets. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that is how you make out. Ah, that is a mosque because there is a dome and a minarets. But there are some, not many. There are some mosques in North Kerala, particularly in Thalassery and Calicut, which is very different, totally different from the concept of mosque architecture, which is may resemble more like a temple or a monastery and things like that. For that, there is no specific reason why it is so, because what I have the conclusion I have arrived at is because more than the mosque, some of the temples are more beautiful. So they must have decided to build in the style of temples. So you say no, admiration is the best for, I mean, imitation is the best form of admiration. So that can be one reason. Then another reason may be, for example, in Calicut, there is a mosque which is called Mishkal Mosque, which is very famous, which is just like a monastery because Calicut was ruled by Zamarin, and it is only with his help and consent you can build the mosque. So naturally, when you make a mosque, there'll be a lot of those factors going into your planning because you have to make sure the ruler is kept happy over the whole affair. Same thing with Telishri Mosque, Odathil Mosque, which is very, very, very famous, which has been built by the founder of my family. And that is because that has been built in an area which was given to my great grandfather as a token of gratitude for all the financial help he used to give it to the Portuguese. So naturally, and the timber and things for building the mosque again came from the Zamorin. So that also must have ended up being built almost similar to that Mishkal mosque. But this mosque in Telicheri is much more a beautiful architecture because the roofing is full of copper. The
Yeah,
roof
you
is
took me
full
there. You
of
took me
copper.
there. You took
Yeah.
me there. It's beautiful.
And there is a small this thing what you call normally this temples you call it manikudam huh? You call it Tariga Kudam. We don't see it in a mosque at all, which is very Hindu, which is something to do with the Hindu culture and Hindu religion. It is there in the Telicheri Odathil Mosque, but there is a lot of in the beginning, Zamarin refused to give that, and I forgot what really happened afterwards. Finally, this was established there. So that way, that is very interesting. And
Yeah.
for that matter, these two mosques stands out. But there are similar mosques like that, which is different from the normal mosque concept, but not so beautiful and aesthetic and the Odathil Pali and the Mishkal Mosque.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, just to let the audience know that the Mishkal mosque, which
In
Musa
Calicut.
is in Calicut, which Musa is talking about, has been mentioned by Ibn Battuta, the
Yes. Yes.
14th century
Yes.
explorer who came to Kozhikode,
Yes.
and compare it with the Jama Masjid of Old Delhi that we take our clients,
Yes.
which is only 370 years old,
Okay.
while the Mishkal mosque is 700 years old. So
Yeah.
you
Something like.
can
Yeah.
understand that
Yeah.
the way Islam came to Kerala
Yeah.
was much earlier,
Yeah.
in
Islam came
peace,
to Kerala the
looking for,
moment Islam came to Kerala even during the time of the Prophet
yes,
because his disciples were traveling. And
yes,
one of his disciples, Malik Dinar, landed up in Kranganur, and that is where Cheraman Mosque, which is 625 AD.
yeah. Uh,
So, yeah, there is a mosque near Cochin. There is a place called Kranganur, which we call it Kudugalur.
yeah.
Hello, Kudil, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
What all this? Okay. So, that is the oldest mosque in the country, or the first mosque in the country.
Yes, sir.
The ruler of that area is called the Cheraman dynasty and Cheraman, and he was converted to Islam, and he was the first person to perform Hajj, and he died somewhere on his way back, and I believe his tomb is somewhere in Muscat, somewhere in Oman. That is what I know as far as that. These are the information that I've picked up by
Right,
reading. Yeah.
right.
Okay. Yes.
Let's come to the most interesting part, living tradition of Thayyam. The living tradition of Thayyam is a highlight of a North Kerala itinerary.
Yeah.
And to the audience, please
Yeah.
remember this. This is not a Kathakali dance performance in Greenwich or any other place in Cochin. It is not made up for tourists.
Yes.
So don't dwell on when it starts, when it ends, how long is the break in between, how far is it from Aisha Manzil, um, when do we have to start from the property, etc. Leave it to that particular day and that particular Thayyam happening on that particular day. I realized it is like finding and going to an underground party in Goa during the 1990s. That's the
Okay.
feeling I got. Leave it to Musa.
Yeah,
He will
but
sort it
we
out to
did not go to
clients.
that extent of underground parties. But of course, Theum,
Uh,
you have to hunt for Theum.
yeah, you have to hunt
You
for
have to
Tayyab, like
really
just
hunt for Theum.
yeah,
So I want to make it very brief because
yeah,
it actually needs to be elaborated.
yeah.
Theum, first of all, is not a classical dance form like Kathakali or any other this thing, which these, especially these Westerners now say at 6:25 the bell rings, the curtain goes, and the performance starts. But Theyyam is a ritual dance form. It is performed because it's a ritual to be performed. And it will be performed even if I am there or you are there, and if nobody is there, it has to be performed. So that way, now everybody, they all started enjoying it because they all said this is not meant for the tourist. It is it is a festival of the village, and we are welcome, and we are being made a part of the villagers. I mean the village, to be the spectators for this one of the most spectacular, vibrant dance form you can see anywhere in the world. And my introduction into Theyyam goes back to even it goes back to about 45 years when I was running a small restaurant in the 70s in Kannur. I got a man from New York School of Performing Arts who has come to do research on Theyyam. That time I didn't know what it was. And fortunately, unfortunately, we were together all through his research. And that was my first introduction into Theyyam, which was there, right, lying dormant in me. And when I came into tourism and when I started Aisha Mansil, when I started thinking about the various activities, one of the main things that came to my mind was Theyyam. And now I'm if all of you know that I even prompted the famous William Dalrymple to write a novel, Nine Lives. And one of
Yeah,
the lives is Theyyam, which he wrote staying in my house. That way I really feel, we both feel very proud of because Dalrymple is a Faisal's fan. He's a biryani freak. He'll have biryani for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it.
right,
Okay. And
right,
one more last thing about, because I don't want to say too much about it. It is very elaborate. But
right.
one thing for your information, even last year or year before, you had a Sita Kuni had a group of 12 people who had come to do photography on Theyyam for a few days because the tour leader had been here with another group 2 years before. So he came last year, not 1920, 1819. He came here. And this year there are a lot of it, which were all pushed to 21, 22. Hmm. So now we are getting people coming to Kerala only to see Theyyam. And I have to go back again. This also I have to say, in 2000, we had one charter all the way from France, flying into Bangalore and coming to see a very elaborate Theyyam in a small village about 2 hours away from here called Payanur, which happens only once in 12 years. And that is something I will always remember throughout my life, that how we organized all that. And they came only for that, attended the Theyyam, and took the flight back to some other destination somewhere in North India. So
Right.
Theyyam, yes,
Right.
that's it.
When I saw Theyyam
Mm. Yeah,
staying at Ayesha Manzil, it
yeah.
was March end when I was in North
Theyyam
Kerala.
starts from November and goes on till May 1st.
Yeah, and I invariably ended up because it was difficult to find a Theyyam. So I invariably ended up in Kabus and Taravas with local families,
Mm.
and it was really genuine and authentic. I was welcomed warmly,
Yeah.
offered tender coconut water and also food. Musa, what is the best time of the year to witness Theyyam according to you? If you entire
The
season,
Theyyam is from mid-December to April 15th. I guarantee Theyyam every day.
right?
But Theyyam starts from late October and goes on till the first week of May. But January, February, March, Theyyam is
It's the best.
100% guaranteed because that is the peak of the season.
January, February, March,
March, that is the peak of the season.
right?
And in January, I have a Theyyam just behind my house, exactly behind my house.
Right.
Yeah, and most of the Theyyams start from not late evening, beginning of the evening, immediately after sunset lighting the lamp, it starts. but then it gathers momentum towards the middle of the night, and towards the end of the morning and a little later in the morning, it really comes to an end. It is that time we take our guests so that they don't really have to put in too much of effort, and it doesn't become tedious for them. But for the real serious people, like for example, your group which came for photography, they were going even at 2 in the middle of the night, which they call it morning, and come back by about 7, 8 like that, because they are here on a mission. So they can do that. Otherwise, we plan it such a way that they get to see sometime between morning 10 and 2 in the morning. Morning, when I say, not the middle of the night, like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. like that.
Right.
Okay?
Right. And
Right.
okay, in Talasheri, tell us more about this cooking class with Faiza and why it is one of the must-dos in North Kerala itinerary. I'm sure you're planning a surprise for us
Yeah.
now, so I will let you go,
Yeah.
and I'll come back to you at the end of the webinar.
You will come back in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Maybe sooner.
Between 10 and 15 minutes. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
it depends on how fast Aditi answers the questions. So yeah, I mean, it'll be great
Aditi,
if we can
Aditi will
set it
have
up as
long
fast as
stories.
possible.
Aditi will have long stories. And okay,
No,
just,
sir, not
just
as long as
before
yours.
leaving, can I just, Kundil, can I tell you one thing?
Yeah,
Just before leaving, that picture now you have displayed on the screen is mother and a small boy, just about 2 or 2.5 years. They are from Germany, and she came to give cooking lessons for this 2-year-old boy. Do you know that? Yes,
right.
not for the mother.
So
Yeah.
so everybody is welcome in the kitchen, no matter
Oh,
what
oh, yes.
age.
Okay. So it was
Right.
very nice to be with all of you, especially with my old friends, because again, when you come back to my kitchen, I don't know whether I get a chance to see everybody. Otherwise, it was very nice, and thanks for the opportunity. And it was an opportunity for me to see my old friends. Okay,
Right.
thank you, Kundil. Bye.
Yeah, we'll be back in
Oh,
about
yes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, so this is some of the stuff that I wrote for the newsletter on Telisheri and about Thayam. Uh, okay, day 9 is when we board the Lotus houseboat. Uh, my question to Aditi would be now, Aditi, tell us a little bit about the Lotus houseboat.
Yeah, Lotus houseboat, it's a 2-bedroom super luxurious houseboat, and it cruises in the Valyaparamba backwaters, which is in Nileshwar itself. So these backwaters, these are actually not that explored. They are wide backwaters. So you get to see the village life there, but very less, because there are not much of houseboats there. And very, see, the kind of sightseeing that we have an itinerary, 1 night and 2 nights itinerary over there. So we showed people there is a visit to coir factory. Some village visits are included in that. Guests can go for swimming into the backwaters, but yes, it depends upon how the level of the water is. And we also them to the Monkey Island, and also to show them some Thayyam, which happens in Muthappan temple. And these all things are included in the cruise, in the 1 night and 2 nights cruise. So we recommend people to at least go for 2 nights cruise, so to have the full experience of the houseboat.
Right. And what does the one night cruising entail? And what do the clients get to see in a 1 night cruise? Because you have 1 night cruise in this itinerary.
Yeah, actually, as I told you, Kuntal, we have 1 night and we have 2 nights, both the cruises. So it includes sightseeing. Like I told you, we have a coir factory visit. So the cruise starts around 12 o'clock, 12 noon. The guest boards the Lotus houseboat. It starts cruising. We go to the coir factory. Then after coir factory, it's around half an hour to 1 hour kind of a sightseeing. They come back to the boat. Then again, it starts cruising. You go for a small village experience. The guests can go for bicycling trips. And then we take them to, there is one handloom industry. ladies handloom industry to show them. And then okay, have your lunch at the houseboat. And see, the sightseeing, yes, we have options, but yes, it depends upon the guest whether they want to go for the sightseeing things or whether they want to just sit and relax at the Lotus. Because as Lotus has such a big windows in the sitting area, so the breeze of the sea, and as you can see, we have very beautiful sun deck also.
Yeah.
So the clients actually like to just sit, relax in the backwaters. That is what we have actually noticed. And yes, we can also arrange for them in the evenings a special candlelight dinners for them at the sun deck, which is one of the highlights of Lotus.
Right. And how is the cruise on the Lotus houseboat different from the houseboat cruise in South Kerala, in the backwaters of Alleppey and Kumarakom area?
See, Alleppey, it's more of a human population that you get to see. The Lotus, the Valyaparaba backwaters where Lotus cruises, it's not that much of a human population. It's very less. You get to see fishermen's nearby, but not many houseboats also. The backwaters are actually wider over here. So the difference is that you're cruising in the kind of a very empty backwaters over here. So not at all touristy, unexplored, and that's all about that. The Lotus backwaters that we cruise in. The main, actually, the thing is that it's not at all explored over here. It's empty backwaters.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Aditi, you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we lost you for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I was just saying that yes, the Lotus, the backwaters that we cruise in, it's different than Alleppey because Alleppey is more of a crowded kind of a backwaters. Where Lotus cruises in the Valyaparamba backwaters, it's not at all crowded, and the backwaters over here are quite wide. So you
Right.
get to see a little bit of human population over here, but not much. Village experience, yes, there is village experience also here, but not too much. So it's very serene, very pristine kind of experience that you get over here.
Right. And day 10, of course, we disembark and head to Nileshwar Hermitage for 5 relaxing night by the beach. Aditi, tell us why the Nileshwar Hermitage makes for a wonderful end to a North Kerala holiday.
Yeah, as the whole itinerary, what I was seeing that it's a lot of culture, a lot of history that you tell people about Kerala and all. So coming to Nileshwar Hermitage, they get to relax over here. It's a kind of a peaceful stay, like just heading back to home again to their stressful lives, just have a nice quiet time at the beach by themselves. That's the main soul of Nileshwar, because the beach that we have, it's again pristine, unexplored, non-touristy, and it's the beach is actually from Nileshwar Hermitage just a 5 minutes walk. So you get to see, go do yoga, meditation, and also we have Ayurveda treatments for relaxing, uh, kind of a treat for the guests.
Right. And this is what the Lotus Houseboat plus Nileshwar Hermitage combo 6 night package that we're offering you in this itinerary. For
Yes.
private yoga classes, for Ayurveda treatments, one spa herbal bath, 3 day meditation
Yes.
course, cooking lesson on board the Lotus Houseboat, a private candlelit dinner, and private transfer to the Kannur airport. You talked about the Nileshwar beach, Aditi.
Yes.
How is it different from Bekal, where the Taj property is located? The Nileshwar
See,
beach.
yeah, the difference is the Bakal beach is more rocky and
Mhm.
you can't swim into that beach.
Right.
The Nileshwar beach is not at all rocky. And during the season time, which is October to March, when the tides are also not on a higher side, you can swim into it. And Nileshwar beach from the property from Minakshi restaurant, which is our seafood specialty restaurant, or you can say our sea view cottages, plunge pool cottages, it's just a 2 minutes or maximum 5 minutes walk. You are just at the beach. So that's the, and it's a long stretch. It's a 20-kilometer long stretch. So you can just go for long walks over there.
Right. Very interesting. And one of the partners of this particular hotel, Alistair Shearer, is he
Yeah.
still there? Is he still a partner?
Yes, he's a still partner. He's our cultural director.
Yeah,
He
that's
takes,
yeah,
yeah.
because I remember lovely conversations with him. When does he come down to Nileshwar Hermitage? Does he have a particular
Yeah,
month?
it actually depends when he's coming around, but it's mostly during the season time, November, December time. He makes a point to come to Nileshwar because yes, lot of people, lot of our guests, they book specially Nileshwar just to meet him because he gives very wonderful this transcendental meditation sessions, which people love a lot. So yeah, he comes around during season time. That's the main thing. November to March, he comes around in between that.
Right, and people please keep in mind that Alistair Shearer is a very, very knowledgeable Indologist. He's very knowledgeable about India. Please
Yeah.
check with Nileshwar Hermitage when you book if he's around. He's a delight to be, to have a
Yeah.
conversation with. And, Aditi, I was having breakfast at Nileshwar Hermitage and this gentleman walks in and
Hmm.
says, "Can I join you?"
Okay.
I says, "Please join me." And then I said, "Yes, please." And then he was the person,
Wow.
Alistair Shearer. And we had a long, long conversation
Mm,
with him.
yeah.
Okay, so day 15, Nileshwar to Kannur Airport and transfer to Kannur Airport to board the flight for your onward destination. Musa has kind of organized a little cooking session for us in his kitchen. Are you ready, Mr. Musa, with your cooking uh, class? Can we?
Uh, Welcome to our kitchen, Aisha
First,
Mansil.
first of all, thank you
Yes.
so much for planning this surprise for us.
Oh, it's a pleasure and it's an opportunity about which it's an honor for me. I would take it like that. So thank you that way, Kuntil.
So,
And
what are you
now,
cooking for us?
today, the chef, master chef, will tell you about the cooking. And now it's her turn. Please. Yes.
Hi, this is Aparna Vinod, our guest. She's having a cooking class with me, and now we are making tamarind prawns. Uh, which is very, is it audible, Kundal?
Yeah, it is. You just need to move the device probably a little closer to Faisa, whatever device you're
Okay.
using.
Right.
Is it better?
Yeah, and maybe she can speak a little loudly.
Okay. Okay, we are making tamarind prawns,
Right,
which all our guests love, and it's published in all the cookery books in USA, UK, and Australia.
right.
So
And it's a Mopla cuisine. The
it's a
part,
Mopla cuisine. It's a Mopla cuisine.
And
Yeah.
it's our signature dish.
right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
No. Yeah. So
we should
she's going
start.
to do.
First, I'll tell the ingredients. So this is prawns,
Can you see it?
prawns.
Yeah,
Hope it's visible.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And then onions,
Right,
ginger garlic crushed and curry leaves. Okay. Tomato, one tomato. Then this is chili powder.
right.
This is coriander powder and turmeric. And some chopped coriander leaves. And this is tamarind water. I've taken a small, there's a little tamarind the size of a lime, and I squeezed it, added water and squeezed. And pedigree, mustard seeds, salt, and this is coconut oil. We usually use coconut oil for any seafood preparation. It's much tasty. Okay. Now what we do is, this is chili, little chili, turmeric and salt, and we marinate the prawns with this.
If you can just see what she's doing, maybe just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, adjust the device because it's pretty exciting. Yeah,
Now,
better.
now,
Now it's
Sibyl,
better. Yes, I can see. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Now
show
it's
you.
better. Yeah. Yeah, I think you
Now
should hold it like this, please. Yeah.
Now I'm going to shallow fry this.
Okay.
I have poured little coconut oil. To save time, I have poured it in, and it's hot now. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
So, Aparna, can you please? Yeah, I'll use my hand. Yes. No, you can do it. Okay. Yes.
after frying,
You just fry it. No, just leave it. Just leave it. Yeah. Okay, in order to save time, I have fried and a few prawns.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Shall we remove
Yeah,
this?
remove.
And now with these ingredients, we'll make a gravy.
Okay.
Use an earthen pot.
We use clay pots.
Yeah.
That's good.
Is the clay pot part of the Mopla cuisine cooking technique? Oh, and it kind of retains the flavor?
Yeah, we can, yeah, it retains flavor. We can keep it for a few days in this without keeping in the fridge. We can keep it outside.
Right.
So to this, clay. Good way.
Like
We pour some coconut oil. This is coconut oil.
Right.
Let it get hot.
and yeah.
When we fry it now, will there be some balance oil? No, this is not fried. This oil gives a very good taste to the curry.
Right.
Can you see?
Yes, we can see.
This balance oil, no, will be
Yeah.
that we usually pour into the curry. Use it for the curry because the flavor of the prawns is in this oil. So to this, we add mustard seeds. You can add when it finishes popping. Very little, right? No, but same way, same amount. Yeah. Okay. This one. Yeah. Now, Aparna, when it finished popping, you can do this.
Well, unfinished product. ഇല്ലേ ചെമ്മീൻ വരട്ട് റെഡി ആയില്ലേ ഉണ്ടാക്കി വെച്ചിട്ടില്ല processes
I'll just tell the process and we'll finish it fast.
Yeah.
We'll add the onions and green chilies. When it softens, we'll add the fresh ginger garlic, and then the tomatoes, and we'll soften it. And it will be like this. I've just softened and kept it. This texture.
Right.
Okay. And to this, we'll add 2 teaspoons of Kashmiri chili powder, 1 teaspoon of coriander and turmeric, and we add the tamarind water.
In that, we put
And
the
then
prawns.
we add the salt. And we keep it for simmer it for some time. And when the sauce is thick like this, see, we add the
Prawns to it.
fried prawns to it. And stir.
Sorry, so very cool.
Because it's already cooked, we simmer it for a few minutes, just for the flavor to come out.
Right.
And like the taste of the coriander leaves, you can add the coriander leaves.
Too bad we can't taste it.
Yeah. So that is tamarind prawns. Kuntil? So
Yes,
tamarind prawns.
Thank you
Once
so
again,
Please book the room for me today, okay? I'm coming.
and thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.
All of you, my friends, thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much for this. And for the audience, if you want to know,
after 7 months, Dr. Srikumar, it's after a very, very long time we are seeing that. We also are very happy I could be part of it. So have a nice time. Bye.
it was wonderful having both of you on today's discussion. Thank you so much for everything and planning this little surprise for us.
When everything is normal, I invite all of you to be our guests at Aisha Mansil. So please, this invitation is open. You can honor it whenever it's convenient for you. Okay,
right.
bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Robin, I would, as the head of Kerala operations, I would like to end today's webinar with your comments on North Kerala. Over to you.
So, of course, a very different, unique product. When you compare the footfall with the South Kerala, it is very less. A very different experience on the lands. The people are different, actually. So, if you look into this itinerary, what we have designed today, it has everything, actually. When you show that narration in the front, it has a very different lifestyle. That's what makes it very unique. And already in the question box, there is a question that why North Kerala is famous for the food. So of course, the element of Mopula cuisine and the influence of the Arab trading is making it very, very unique in terms of the food actually. I'm sure we don't have time to go through the questions actually, so I'm just generally mentioning that actually. Somebody has already raised that question about the food. So the North Kerala in generally is different because of the influence of the Arab trading. So that makes even the biryani different. Even such dishes, especially what Mr. Musa and they have shown, is slightly different from the other parts of Kerala. So food-wise, that's a different taste and very unique. And about the products, today we have this Calicut area with a heritage walk and the tile factory, and the Wayanad area with a tribal community and the Cheruvel Raman kind of a product, and with the Theyyam, and finally with a backwater in that area. We can definitely sell North Kerala as one of the beautiful and the best product for the coming years. That's what I would like to sum up.
Thank you, Robin. It was wonderful having everybody on the panel today. Dr. Sri Kumar, Aditi, Ravi Verma, Mr. and Mrs. Day, Praveen from Maranat Mana, and of course, Mr. and Mrs. Musa, who planned this little surprise for us at the end. Thank you so much. I'm sure that people learned a lot about North Kerala after today's webinar. We'll keep on pushing North Kerala, and we all have to work together to make this a success. Thank you so much. And please, before leaving, audience, please fill in the poll. Give us your feedback. It helps us to get better. Thank you so much for your participation. Robin, thank you especially for organizing this and coordinating it over the weeks. Thank you so much. And